plugging along here.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's been how many months? 4 months? 4 months in COVID, March, April, May, June, July, 4 months pretty much. Crazy.
Wow.
But you know,
True.
there's buyers out there. I'm a buyer.
When is it gonna be over, Dan? When is it
I,
gonna be over?
I close on Friday for my own house. So
Oh,
I'm
congrats.
thank
Congrats.
you. Thank you. I'm really excited. I still have to put that final deposit in on Wednesday or Thursday, but you know, that's a little scary. That's for sure. All right, so let me turn off my email so we don't keep hearing that dinging. And then we'll get started. Click that. Sorry, everybody. Okay, cool. Awesome. Got a nice little group here. So thank you all for getting on. I appreciate it. So this is the 411 class. I know, I think a couple of you have been on this Zoom before, the 411. I try to do it monthly because I really think that you should do your 411 monthly. So first, just to get started, anybody on the Zoom right now, have you done your 411 and do you have it with you today? No, nobody, huh? You guys all failed, but that's okay. You know, what we're going to talk about is who doesn't know what a 411 is? Raise your hand, press the space bar and say yes. I got it, Harry, you got the claps or whatever. All right. So a 411 is all it is a business plan. It's how I like to do a monthly business plan. It's not just monthly, it's an annual, you should set annual goals for yourself. And then, so you break down the annual goals into monthly goals. And then you also figure out what are you gonna do on a weekly basis to reach your goals. So the 4, this is kind of a sheet. It's a 411 action plan, right? It's a blank sheet. Anybody email me, dan@harma.com, and I will send you the blank Word document. You can do this yourself at home. You don't really need the sheet though. It's pretty self-explanatory as I go into it. But it's really, again, setting annual goals, breaking those down into monthly goals, and then figuring out weekly activities. So this should be specific to you. All of us are different in this Zoom. Everybody has a different way that they think they're going to get business. You might be new to the business. You might be experienced in the business. So if you're experienced and you've been doing this for a while, you probably have maybe a better idea of not only what activities you need to do on a weekly basis, but also what your numbers look like to set real goals. Some people have a hard time trying to figure out what goals they should set for themselves. So that's what this class is here for. It's here to explain the 411, to show you how to do it. I do it on a monthly basis. So I'd love, you know, I've seen many of you on the Zoom multiple times. I can't remember who was on the last 411 Zoom or not. But even if you bring this or your own version of it completed the next month, you know, we'll do it together with this group. And it not only does it benefit you by tracking your goals and seeing how you're doing, but it also helps you understand what maybe you could be doing differently, what you can improve on, and you're helping everybody else. So there's 19 people in this Zoom right now, which is great, thank you. You're also gonna help these 18 other people on this Zoom and things that they can be doing right now to get business, right? Because regardless of you're new or experienced, we all have great ideas in how to generate leads and business for each other, right? All right, cool. So I know a couple more people have joined on. Did anybody bring their 401 completed today? All right, well, let's get started. So I'm just gonna quickly explain, well, I guess I already said how the 411, but I'm gonna do it with a marker and then we'll get into activities, okay? I might have to stand up. Conference room was busy today. So everybody can see the whiteboard, right? Okay. So the way I do 411 is I put annual goals up here at the top. So A, annual, right? M for monthly goals. And then down here at the bottom is the 1, 2, 3, 4, because there's generally 4 weeks in a month, right? All right, everybody can hear me, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So I really want you to focus on right now, and if anybody can help in contributing, that would be great. But what activities are you doing right now to get business? Because the activities are going to be down here in these columns, and those activities are likely going to turn into monthly goals, and then they're going to turn into annual goals for you, right? So before we get to the activities, because I know there's always new people joining our office, so I know several of you haven't seen this before, is a lot of people set goals in different ways. Usually they set like a GCI goal. GCI is like your commission, right? So I know it's already July, and we have, you know, half the year left in this COVID world of 2020. But there's still business to be had. I mean, like I said earlier on this call, I'm a buyer right now. So, and actually I have an agent representing me and she's making a commission. So, you know, there's tons and tons of business going on right now. So whatever your goal is, and you should set your goal for yourself and make it realistic. And I get it. This has not been the 2020 that most of us, including myself, had expected coming into this year. So it might be a small goal, and that's fine. I would rather you do a small goal and try to achieve that goal than setting something that might not be realistic and then going from there. So for example, say, you know, we've only got 6 months left. So maybe say 60,000, right? 60, wait, is it 60,000? I got to get my calculator out here right now. 5 times, that's only 30,000, right? So let's see, what's realistic? Let me hear from you. What would be a realistic goal starting today that you think that you could make by the end of the year in commission for yourself?
28,000.
28,000. Thank you, Harry. So 28,000. So if you haven't sold anything yet this year, and I'm glad I have my calculator here because I'm not the best at math. Thank God there was no math on the real estate licensing exam because I might not be sitting here today with all of you. But if you have not sold anything yet this year and you want to make 28 grand before the end of the year, there's pretty much 6 months left, right? So what I always do is I put whatever the goal is in every category, even in the activities, and I put a bracket next to it. So being that this is the annual goal of 28,000, and if you have not sold anything or had any commission yet this year, then a 0 is going to go in that bracket. Okay. Since we have 6 months left in the year, 28,000 divided by 6 is basically, say, $4,700 a month in GCI. So GCI, you're going to have a bracket here. So basically, you need to sell $4,700 in commission a month to hit your annual goal, right? So if you look at that, what kind of a sale is that? Does anybody know?
Lease agreements?
So if you take let me use a different pen here. If you take a $500,000 sale, do you think that's an obtainable sales price? Whether it's a house or a condo. If a house is, I mean, my house was a little bit more than that, but you know, there's different areas, wherever you're focusing on, whatever you live, whoever your clients are, your sphere is. 500,000, right? Say that's the average sales price times 2.5% commission, if you only represent one side, is only $12,500 in commission, right? So if your goal is half of that, that's really only, so, you know, there's not a lot of $250,000 homes, right? You can divide this by 2 and you're going to get the same thing, right? So that's 250,000 properties. There are some out there, So the commission of 4,700 is basically selling one $250,000 home a year. I mean, a month, right? There are some in that price point. Like even I have a listing in Reseda for a condo. It's listed at 309,000. So that's pretty close. That would be kind of like ish the commission, right? I think my math's right. If somebody's telling me my math is totally screwed up, then let me know. But it's definitely doable. So if you want to make this amount, you don't have to sell six $500,000 homes, one each month, right? Because we only have 6 months left. So really, to make this commission, all you really need to do is sell 3 properties that are 500K or or more in volume before now and the end of the year. And I think that's totally possible for every single person on this Zoom. Does that seem possible to you? So do you see how your numbers change, like depending on what you want to make? So say you want to make 60,000 a year for at least between now and the rest of the year. So this is 60,000. And then this comes down to 10,000, right? That's still one $500,000 home, because that commission is 12,500. So times 6, and you're going to hit your goal there. So you just sell one $500,000 home every month between now and the end of the year, and you're going to hit that goal that way. So this is very easy to customize it to what you want to do and where you want to try to do that. Most people put GCI, right? They're looking at dollars. They're looking at money. But some people like units. So in the same way, you can put, just like how we had, say you want to make 600,000 and your average price point is say you want to make 60,000 and your average price point you're thinking is around the 500,000 range. You're going to need to sell 6 homes between now and December 31st to hit that goal. So your goal here could be 6 units. Again, you haven't sold any units yet this year, so you're at 0. So then this down here at the month is 1 unit. And again, you haven't sold one yet this month, but there's still time, right? The goal is to get your 6 units sold. So then that way you hit your GCI goal. And that's kind of how the goals work. How are you going to get those buyers or sellers? That's what turns into the activities down here. And I keep telling this, and it really works if you do it. I promise you it works if you do it. But if you do this every single month and you update your numbers, you will start to see results. But you have to do it customizable to what your life looks like. So whatever your activities are weekly, a lot of people write down goals and they do something and they write it and then they put that sheet in the corner and then they don't look at it. They do it in October, November. These are my goals for 2021. And they're going to do this whole worksheet and they're going to set the goals up. And then comes 2021, the end of 2021, and they haven't reached their goals because they're not updating the sheet monthly. They're not filling it in and what's happening monthly. So let's just take July, for example. If this is your July sheet and whatever your activities are, and I guess we'll talk about activities right now, right? If the activity entails you doing something that is going to be affected by something in your schedule, then your sheet, your goal, your 411 should also be modified to that. So the first week of July, we all have the 4th of July. Even though we're in COVID, some of us, I went to Palm Springs, so I was in Palm Springs. Yes, we don't have open houses. So literally even if open houses is a way that you thought you were going to get business this year, there really shouldn't be any open houses in your July business plan because open houses aren't allowed. If you have a new listing or a listing or whatever, and you want to schedule your back-to-back showings in a block of time, and kind of use that as an open house type of style to save you time and energy of running back and forth to the property, totally fine, but you can't promote it as an open house. So you won't have open houses anywhere on your activities for July. You may still have them here in your annual goals because open houses will come back. Maybe you're not completely brand new to the business and you've been doing open houses all year long, except till we got to COVID. So you might have that you're going to do open houses, you know, we can't do them in July. Say we're going to have open houses in August, right? And I don't know that, you know, it doesn't look like it, but maybe September. So even let's just say September to be realistic, right? You got 4 months of allowed open houses in the rest of the year. And do you want to do, you know, you're going to go strong because you want to pick up as much buyer leads as possible in those open houses. And clearly we have the leads in this office for you to do so. So if you do an open house, one open house every week, you're committing to doing one open house every week. That's 4 open houses on your activity sheet. You don't have to do just one. You can do one on Saturday and Sunday. So then you'll put 2 open houses instead of 1. And you'll put the bracket here, right? And again, this isn't July. We're going to say this is September. But this is, say, either 4 open houses or 8 open houses. Well, if it's 4 open houses, your monthly goal is going to have 4 open houses a month with the bracket here. And if it's September and you've never done an open house again, September only has 4 months left. So 4, 8, 12, 16 open houses left for you to do between now and December 31st of the year. Does that make sense? Yeah. Nobody's got only a handful have their cameras on. So forget about open houses, right? We're in July, we can't do them. What are you guys doing to build your business? Besides being on a bunch of Zoom calls every day.
Sphere, friends.
Okay, so how are you connecting with your sphere and your friends?
I guess I'm the wrong person to ask right now.
That's okay. I appreciate you speaking up. Cold calling. So Angela here in the box says cold calling. That's great.
I've been doing care calls to my sphere, just checking in, saying like, how are you? How's like everything with COVID? And then real estate usually just comes up like, because I ask them how work is and they're like, oh, how are you? How's your work?
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's take that one step further. So when they're having these calls and you're talking to them and the call does turn into real estate, then what happens? Do they just say, what do they say to you?
Some of them don't know. So they're like, oh, congratulations. And then they ask like how the market is. Usually I try not to like go too much into it unless they bring it up, but then later on I'll go back and like when we're done talking, because it's usually over text or like Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
A couple days later I'll go back and revisit and just be like, oh hey, by the way, like I don't have you in my database, because a lot of people on Facebook I don't, so I've been adding like their emails and phone numbers to my database. That way I at least, if I'm not like touching base with them personally, at least my emails are still going out to them, like, and I'm still marketing to them.
Perfect. I love it. You're doing exactly what you need to be doing. It's not just that you talk to people. It's not just that you text them or call them. Those are all great things to do, and you need to be doing all of those right now because it's the easiest way to reach out and talk to people, especially because we're all in this together, right? So there's a common conversation that can be had. And Danielle, you did an amazing job of being able to take that and let people know that you're in real estate now. Obviously, real estate is one of the topics in people's minds and what's happening with the market. So the next is really just the follow-up. So yes, on your 411, I would put calls. So for those of you that are in our training program, there's this training program completion requirements list. And I always say it's like a guideline, right? And there's tons of things on this that are ways for you to get business. And one of it is to commit to one at least of the following. Hold 3 open houses a month. Now, obviously we can't do that. Door knock for a minimum of 2 hours, 3 times a week. Now that might not be a great thing to do right now. but it is legal. Cold call for a minimum of 2 hours, 3 times per week. Or alternatively, have a sphere of influence large enough to generate monthly leads for business and show progress to your training director. So this applies whether you're in the mentorship program or you're not, right? So you should put a goal for yourself in your 411 about how often and frequent you're going to make those calls. You might not have a big enough database right now to call people. You might not be farming to call people and have those numbers. So those are other things that you can be doing in your time, is to make that database larger, right? So if calls are a way, whether you're cold calling, so you're calling people you have no idea who they are, or they don't know you, or you're calling your sphere, I think for 100%, everybody on this Zoom should be making some calls, or if you're, if calls is just really hard for you, like it is for me, texting,
Cool.
but you should put a time on it. So maybe it's 2 hours a day, 3 days, 3 days a week. I'm gonna mute you, okay? So whatever that is for you, so if it's 2 hours, 3 days a week, that's 6 hours a week. 6 hours of calls. And then put the bracket here. And if you're gonna commit to doing 6 hours of calls every week, and you do that here, 6 hours of calls, 6, 12, 18, 24, that's 24 hours of calling per month. And if you've never called before, we're gonna look at 6 times 24, and I'm gonna have to get my calculator out because I told you I'm not the smartest in math, but 6 times 24 is 144 hours left in the year of calls with the bracket, right? And what I was talking about earlier is it should be customizable to what's going on in your life. So if it's 4th of July and you're in Palm Springs like I was, and you're not gonna make those calls, that's okay, Don't put 6 hours of calls on the first week of July, because you are celebrating your family, your life, you want a break, you want a vacation, you don't want to make those calls. If you're still determined to make 24 hours of calls every month, these 6 now have to go to 8 to hit your goal. So for your July 411, you're going to have 3 weeks of 8-hour calls instead of 4 weeks of 6-hour calls. And then maybe back in August, you don't have any vacation scheduled. There's nothing big going on. We're still in COVID. You're going to go back to the 6 hours a week because you don't want to do 8 hours a week, 3 times a week, So it's changing that plan with you. Danielle, you said another great thing is, talking to people, getting their contact information. So be purposeful in these calls and either, turning them into real estate, be sensitive to who they are, look at your database. So if you're entering things in Command right now to get, or whatever database service you're using, maybe you haven't started with Command and you're getting an Excel sheet filled out. And on every contact, you want to have first name, last name, phone number, email, mailing address, birthday. I think that's it, right? So these 6 items you should have for every contact. So maybe that's a point of your call. Maybe that's a point of your Facebook and social media engagement. A point of your texting as you talk to them. Hey, I got some free time on my hand during COVID, and I'm updating my what do they call it? Your phone book, your address book. Can I get your email address? Can I get your mailing address? I'm cleaning up my my personal whatever database. They might not want to tell you. That's fine. There's certainly ways you can get this information. Even, Facebook, I've said a million times, you can export all of this contact information from so many different sources. You just Google how to do it. How do I export my contacts from Facebook? Maybe you're spending time going through, so you make the call, talk to someone you haven't talked to in a while, you're looking at their Facebook profile, and then you look on Facebook and you find their birthday. Well, now you're putting their birthday in your command. Maybe you're attaching the social media link. So you take this is what I do all the time in my recruiting. So I do make calls for recruiting and trying to build the office and adding agents to our office. And I think command eventually, it's It's doing some really good stuff right now, but I see the future in it, and I see how so many different parts are all going to be integrated. So I'm spending so much time on trying to get command to 100% for me. So even as I'm making calls to agents, so I'm cold calling agents that maybe I have not spoken to before. So the same thing for you guys with your business, whoever you're calling, as I'm on the phone's ringing, I'm waiting for them to pick up, or they pick up and I'm talking to them. I'm also looking for their profile on Facebook, and I'm grabbing the URL to their page, and I'm putting that URL in my command under that contact, because I know that they'll be marketed to. I know that I can do Facebook ads and things to my sphere or whoever I'm calling, and start doing advertisements and stuff to them. Those features are already available now. So to that, those type of things should be on your 411 as well. So not only calls, but how are you building your database, right? You should, regardless of how you do business, which way you think is going to be the best way for you to do business, you should always be adding to your database. That's one thing that every class, Keller Williams, other person, whatever company, whatever coach it is, whoever's doing the instructor, they probably say this in every single class. You need to add contacts to your database daily, right? So how are you going to do that? And that should be included in your 411. So any ideas of how you can get contacts, how you can reach out to people and get their information and build your database?
Last month I had a birthday, and I used that to my advantage of how people were reaching out to me. So I used that time to kind of bring up my business, or even I asked a few people to follow my business page. I had planned for last month to do at least like 2 social posts a week, but ended up not hitting that goal. So for this month, I'm planning to sit down and create more of a social calendar so that it's kind of already set. Like I already know what I'll be posting, so that I don't have to, try to scramble and think about it, during that week.
I love it. Great job. 2 things that you said there. One was that you took like your own birthday and you were able to use that to your advantage to get, to reach out to people, people were reaching out to you, wishing you happy birthday, and getting information and stuff from them. So think about what you can do every single month. And even as that's what's important about doing this 411 too, is you look at it as a live calendar, as a live schedule of what you can do. So your birthday might be in July. So there's an event that you can, be able to pull business from or leads from that way. Then you look at what's happening in August. Well, what's on your social calendar in August? What's in your life in August? What kind of event is in August? Same thing as for the rest of the year. So that's amazing. Anyone else? What helps is building your database. And even if you have a very small database, is setting a goal to increase that, right? What do you think is the easiest number of contacts you can get every single week without even trying? And there's no right or wrong answers. Robert says 10. 5, Magdalena. Anyone want to go less than 5? No? Okay, let's use 5. But Robert, you used 10. So in your 411, you put add 5 contacts or whatever you want, because this is your business plan, right? 5 contacts, 5 new contacts. So you're going to add 5 new contacts that week. 5 new contacts, 5 new contacts, 5 new contacts, and use the little brackets, right? When I do something like this, what kind of also helps, especially when getting appointments. So adding contacts, getting appointments. I also put like lines. So if my goal is to get 5 new contacts a week, I not only put add 5 contacts, and I know I'm getting down to the bottom here. So add 5 contacts, right? And I put the bracket here, but I also put like 5 dots, because as I'm out and going, looking at this and every week, so we're here, I know we're not engaging too much socially, but maybe it's calls, maybe it's asking people for referrals when you're making your calls. Maybe it's, you are working, some of these us on this call, and have a job on top of real estate, as do I. I'm the team leader. That's my job, and I sell real estate. So I totally get it, But whatever's in your life, if you have these 5 dots here on your 411 in the action, in the activities column, you're filling it in. So, say I meet with Jim and Sally and John and Tim and Dave, or whatever the names are, as you meet people, as you connect with people. You work in a restaurant and you connect with people there and you get their contact information, and that's how you add a contact. You're calling your sphere and you ask for a referral. Even if you go to people you already know. So one way that I was able to build my database when I first started is I went on Facebook and I went back to Chino High School class of 1999, and I started friend requesting all of these people that I know and I remember, and they wrote in my yearbook, and it was a way for me to first friend request them. They accepted the friend request, and then there was a follow-up. Hey, Jim, haven't seen you in 20 years. Can you believe we're that old? Whatever. What's going on in your life? Are you okay? It's great to connect with you back on here after all this time. They're going to naturally come back and ask you, whatever. So Jim is here in my contacts, right? And I, get as much information as I can in an easy way. Maybe I have to, get his birthday from Facebook because now we're friends. I see that he lives still in Chino, so I can go on Nexus Lexus or freepeoplesearch.com and search his name and get his mailing address. Maybe he tells you, oh, I owned a property, I bought a house, great. Well, you can look on the MLS. Part of the thing on the MLS, you can search by owner. You can search by owner, you can search by county and the owner. So I know that Jim, I know his last name, he still lives in Chino, that's San Bernardino County. So I'm gonna go on the MLS, I'm gonna search for Jim's name in San Bernardino County, and it's gonna show me where Jim lives because he's on title of that property. I'm gonna put that mailing address into my command, into my database system, and I can start mailing Jim a postcard, Now I've filled in a gap in finding out where he lives because he might not like the realtor. The realtor, whatever. We're now building a friendship on Facebook again after all this time. And he's going to really start seeing, because he's going to get my monthly postcard of what my business looks like. And, he's going to follow me on social media. So it all kind of connects. So it doesn't have to be somebody completely brand new that you've never met before. It can be cleaning up and researching where your contacts were in the past and filling them in. But you need to add them to your database. Not only just get the contacts, but add the contacts to your database and then have some sort of way of marketing to them. So you're either sending out a monthly email blast, you're engaging with them on social media. It really should be multiple ways of touching them every single month. So you've got 5, 10, 15, 20 contacts in a month. So the goal here on the month is add 20 new contacts. And because we have 6 months left, you only need to add 120 new contacts between now and December 31st. Who else? Does all this seem like possible, even in COVID, especially when you break it down to these numbers? Who has another way to get business?
I know you said door knocking may be like insensitive or not a good idea, but I wasn't actually door knocking on my farm, but I was passing out flyers. So I just like had my AirPods in with my mask on my chin, and then if someone came out of their house, like I put it up because 2 hours I was like sweating and it was just a lot.
Yeah.
But I like some people that were outside of their yards were like really friendly, even if they weren't selling. They'd say like, "Oh, I'm not selling." I'm like, "Oh, I'm just passing out information anyway." So that worked out well for me. And then I did a voicemail blast after, just like following up and introducing myself again.
Yeah, the key is, and that's great, and it's, you have to fill it out for you. You have to be comfortable. Then you have to get yourself out of the comfort, right? So I think you're kind of doing both. right? You're putting yourself out there. You're seeing where your farm is, which area you want to target, how they respond to someone, you know, door knocking or being in the neighborhood, passing out some sort of information. Be careful with like I know that it's like so many rules. Technically, you're not supposed to, like, we're supposed to eliminate paper. So, you know, that's why, like, you go on this, you know, you go to restaurants and there's a little QR code they want you to scan. Even if you do like showings and stuff at properties, like there shouldn't be any property flyers anymore right now. So part of COVID is getting rid of all the paper and stuff, but still going out there, introducing yourself, especially if you're getting a great response, I think that's totally fine. You know, it's just the next.
Should I not be passing out flyers? Is that like against the law?
You know, I honestly don't know if it's actually against the law. We'll ask Demetra tomorrow on our office meeting.
Okay, good idea.
I do know that we are supposed to basically limit paper as much as possible. So obviously, you know, we put the paper sign on the door of, you know, COVID, anybody that enters is doing this, but handling of paper, you know, even restaurants, there are restaurants that give you like the printed menus, right? But they've got like, the people have gloves on, they're delivering them to you. They sanitize the table, the paper's on the table, and then they don't remove the paper until the end of the meal. So there's kind of this not exchange of paper. So I guess in the same way, if you're like handing out your flyer with like a little glove on, I'm assuming that would be the same exact thing, you know? But we'll ask Anisha to make sure, because she's the one that's always on all of the ever-changing rules daily in COVID. But yeah, so whatever you're doing, whether you're working a farm or working your sphere, there's multiple touches that you should do. So think of it this way: however you're going to communicate with people, however you're going to lead generate, don't just think of one way to touch them or connect with them. Think of at least 2, 3 is preferred, right? So example, if you farm, get my farms up here, right? If you're a farmer, you know, most traditional farming, you mail a postcard, right? And then there's something that gets dropped to the house. And then usually there's either a door knocking or a cold calling situation. And possibly, you know, not right now, but there's open houses. And then your signs are posted and the neighborhood sees your signs. Then there's like a community event. People do like paper shredding, or they sponsor the neighborhood school. So there's all these ways of advocating, promoting yourself within that farm, right? You're in that farm, they see you and whatever. So some of these things we can't do right now. But think of, so even if you're not farming, for example, I keep talking about my business always being my sphere. So a sphere, I actually started mailing a postcard to all of them because now I'm getting all their mailing addresses. So the same thing, I have a postcard being mailed. And then you know, I'm following them on social media. I'm engaging with them on social media. So, you know, I'm sorry, there's all the text. If you guys want to talk too, because I'll look at the chat box, but postcard, social media, I do an email blast. I think that one email blast a month is enough. Because I hate it when people unsubscribe from me. It's part of my high eye, and then I go into a whole like little hole for the day because people unsubscribe from me, and you know, I take it personally. But you know, there's another touch because I'm emailing them as well. And then if you're calling them, that's another thing. And then if you see them at events, that's another thing. You know, so there's so everything that you do and however you generate business should be multiple ways. So figure out what that is for you, and those activities, whether it's you should do at least 2, but better 3, whatever those 2 or 3 activities are, you should set a goal for yourself, just like we did with adding the contacts. Maybe they're connected, right? So maybe by door knocking, you're going to get more contacts, or by cold calling, you're going to get more contacts. So the goal can be connected. But you should put like either hours of dedicated time, how frequent within the month. It should coordinate with what's on your personal calendar or what events are happening. So people are still doing things, right? We've seen graduations. I've even seen weddings, birthdays, drive-by birthdays, whatever it is. So however you're working it, those activities can still be on your 411 on your calendar. Now equate that to what that generates in monthly, and that what will generate for you annually together. So there's a couple of questions here. Can we do direct mail marketing? Yes, so like just mailing postcards and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. I know paper, that still goes along with some sort of paper thing. I guess the post office isn't, I guess the post office is immune to COVID, but you know, obviously mail is still being delivered. You know, so I'm still mailing postcards out to everybody during this time. I think that's completely appropriate. It's for sure legal. So yeah, if you are getting a mailing list, you know, Zach creates a monthly postcard for me. And so every month, once a month, it's on schedule. It's at the same time, you know, I send that mailing piece that goes out every month. Angela, my sign arrived this past weekend. It has my photo, phone number, email address, and KW website, and states that I'm a neighborhood realtor and to contact me to buy or sell. So nice. That's good.
Yeah, it's in front of my house in the grass.
Well, that's good, right? But your house isn't for sale, right?
No, it doesn't say for sale. It just says I'm your neighborhood realtor, and then it has my information.
So make sure whatever you do, it still complies with local ordinances and regulations. So wherever you live, they may have like a sign ordinance. I know for sure they have them for political signs, but just make sure that, you know, worst case scenario, they're going to confiscate your sign and then give you a little fine or tell you to come pick it up. So check with you wherever you live to do that, but it's a cute idea. Anyone else?
I wanted to ask something. I know it's expensive way of getting contact, but is it possible to promote yourself via Instagram, Facebook, you know, with paid ads?
Yeah, of course. Even Command has a whole platform. You can do it through Command on Facebook and Instagram. You know, I've never found those ads to be profitable for me, but I also think I haven't done them the right way. I used to do Facebook ads when I would have open houses, so promoting the listing and whatever and try to get traffic. You know, but that's also part of, like I said, with my Command, getting people's contact information and their Facebook profiles and adding them to the Command site. Because I just know that even like a simple way of marketing to them, it'll be a lot more cost effective, and it'll be, I think, another touch. So whether they're your people that you know, or it's new people, or you're paying for ads specifically to a certain area, geographic, profession, whatever, totally fine. I would just like try to figure out who's good at doing them. So even who you see, like, you know, real estate, there's originality in real estate, but there's, you know, there's so many ways of doing things. And we always say, don't recreate the wheel. So you don't want to copy someone's post word for word, but if there's something that you like and you see that those people are doing well, like even when I'm changing my website right now, but even with my branding and everything, like I look at the agents that I admire and look at their website, look at their Instagram, see how they're marketed, and, you know, make it your own. But definitely get ideas. I mean, we're, you know, in my opinion, we're here to help each other, but there's, you know, there's also so many ways of doing things, you know. Anyone else? Who will actually do a 411 and be on this Zoom in August with their goals? Angela, I love it. And we can actually go over yours, because and thank you, Bonnie, Harry. So it's good because if we do this every month, whoever's on this call, even if, you know, we got Angela, Bonnie, and Harry next month sharing their 411, we go through it together and where they're at with where they were at in their July goals, how they met their goals. You know, we're analyzing their 411 and seeing what they can do differently. It's going to help them and it's going to help you guys. So that's really the point of having a monthly 411. So please feel free next month to bring your 411. If you want to email it to me ahead of time, that way I have it. But you know, if you just want to share it, you don't have to, you know, I'm not, you know, I'll be your accountability partner and do it with you. Cool? Deal? Any last questions? Thank you. We have our team meeting tomorrow. It's at 11 o'clock. It's going to be great. We're giving out our quarter 2 awards. So it's been an awesome month. July looks even better than the last couple of months. So I hope you all join on, and thank you for being here and being on. And if you need anything, please just reach out to me. You all have my cell phone and email.
One last question now, right before you go.
Yes, sir.
For those of us that have mentors, right? Can we sit with them and do this goal setting and, you know, talk it over with them, go over it, I guess?
For sure. That's what I suggest. I mean, I'm more than happy to, you know, I do this class. I usually do it every month, but you in the mentorship program, whoever's in the mentorship program, you should really have a great bond with your mentor. We call them training directors. You know, do this 411 with them, set your goals, help them, because they should know your business. They should be able to help you through that business and coach you. I'm only a supplement, you know. I think if they're working directly with you and they have an idea where you want to go, they're going to be much more influential with you on a regular basis than me once a month or whatever, you know. So I always suggest, you know, meeting with the mentor, setting the goals. They're going to know that you're involved, that you're hustling, that you want to do this, be successful. You know, because everybody kind of treats this business a little differently. So I think that's going to go a long way with them. And they're just going to be like, you know, this guy's knocking it out of the park and he's committed. And you know, I always say to people, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And I think definitely doing this on a monthly basis with your mentor is the best thing you can do.
Got it. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Have an amazing day.
Thank you, Dan.
Appreciate it. And we'll
Thank
see
you,
you tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
a lot, Dan.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.